Okay, so I'm just gonna start by like prefacing this with the fact that yes, I'm aware that Nintendo, on the whole, as the greater whole, just doesn't really care much about like consistency in the lore of the Mario IP and all of that. Like I come into this fully aware of that fact, but still, I'm just curious, you know. So there's like this whole thing about seven star children, right, and how like super important they are and whatever. And that always kind of had me wondering a bit because like there's clearly like bunch of super relevant characters in the core Mario cast beyond just the seven in particular, but I guess like there is some degree of like importance in terms of what these seven specifically do compared to like everyone else for the most part, I suppose. But it still kind of got me wondering, you know, because it's like yeah, sure. You got Mario himself. He's like the main character, the main guy you play as. He be doing the adventuring, the jumping, the fighting the bad guy, and saving the world and whatever. That's all fine and dandy. But then you got like Peach. Like she's like ruling the Mushroom Kingdom and shit. And in most situations, she's usually just the one getting kidnapped that Mario has to save. And only on like rare occasion is she actually like doing stuff herself, which I always find kind of odd because it's like apparently she has this great magic power or something, but it's like I don't know. It rarely ever seems to come in handy when it comes to like actually defending herself. Like sure, granted, Bowser is also one of the seven, but even so, it's like wasn't there like a bit in one of the RPGs where she straight up just it was like telekinesis or something, just yeeted him across the room? Like, where is that? Like every other game. Then, speaking of which, let's get to Bowser himself, because actually there's something quite interesting about him that's kind of got me a bit curious. Cause it's like, for the most part, these seven star children seem to be pretty important and for usually are doing heroic things more often than not. Bowser's just straight up a villain compared to the rest, or at least usually he is. I mean, there are occasions where he's stopping a greater evil that's like getting in the way of his own thing. Like he'll fight, like he'll fight like Cacletta and Fawful and such when they get when they're doing their evil plans. It gets in the way because it kind of disrupts his thing with Peach, like say stealing her voice, which kind of makes it difficult to kidnap her because every time she talks, things just start exploding. Or say, right, that time Fawful gave him that mushroom that made him just swallow up shit like a vacuum constantly. Only to find out later that like why he was unconscious, dude took over his castle and tried to do this whole evil plan with the Dark Star and whatever, and dude was like, yeah, I'm not having that. I'm beating your ass. Which, I mean, fair. Like 9 times out of 10, he's usually fighting Mario instead of doing anything like that, you know. And it's just kind of funny to think about, like outside of like the RPGs where another villain is kind of messing with his stuff, like you know, like Fawful and Smithy, and if you want to count the paper stuff, count Bleck. He's usually the one causing trouble himself, yet he's one of the seven star children that are like super important. It kind of has me wondering, like, is he was he always meant to be the bad guy in a sense, or was he like one of those cases where he should have been like some special chosen one hero type of deal, but because of his upbringing, he does villain stuff instead? Like, it kind of makes you wonder, you know? Like, could he have been different from how he turned out if I don't know someone other than Kamek raised him or something? I don't know. I always wondered about that. Kind of curious. Then you look at the rest, and it's like, yeah, look, it tracks. Like Luigi, Mario's brother, he's usually doing the right thing as well. It's like Yeah, him being the 7, that makes sense. You got like Donkey Kong the third. You know, Cranky's the original, the OG, I guess. I'm not even gonna get into like the complications of freaking Donkey Kong lore, especially after what happens in Bonanza and how that might complicate things and cause people to like be confused and go into like a whole ass freaking brain fart or whatever. Who knows how that goes? But I guess it is kind of funny to think about because like you have a lot of where you have like say the Mario versus Donkey Kong series where they're more so kind of opposing each other, but they do kind of work that out in the end, I guess. Whereas more like Donkey Kong just wanted toys or whatever, or Pauline, but they worked that out in the end, basically. So it's like they don't really beef like that anymore, I guess. And he's usually like going on at his own adventures, you know, like protecting his island from like the Kremlings and the Tikis and those. What were those Vikings called again? I forgot their names. You know, he got his own problems to deal with, his own villains to fight. You know? So yeah, sure. Probably makes sense that he's one of the 7, I suppose. And then you got Yoshi, who's like apparently the youngest. I think he was born last out of the bunch. Like, it's kind of funny to think about because like, yeah, there's a bunch of Yoshi games, but like in most of those you're usually playing as a different Yoshi than the Star Child one, since he wasn't born yet until like the end of Yoshi's Island DS, and there's like what 2 games that take place before that, where it's like other Yoshis helping baby Mario or something. I don't know, just kind of funny to think about, you know? All these Yoshi games, but you're not playing as the Yoshi, technically. I always thought that was kind of funny. Instead, like, it's usually more likely that you're having, like, the Yoshi of the 7 as, like, assisting Mario in different games, like, you know, Mario World, Galaxy 2, maybe Sunshine. I have to double check on that one. But yeah, it's just kind of funny to think about with Yoshi in particular on that front. And then there's Wario. Like, yeah, he did start out just doing like straight up villainous stuff, like taking over Mario's island in Mario Land 2, but like paying an alien to kidnap Daisy for some reason. That was weird. Like, ever since that, it was like he's more so kind of on like a anti-hero type of deal. Like, yeah, he's sort of stopping other evil dudes more often than not. It's usually motivated by money. Like, he's trying to get money. Like, he's treasure hunting. He's starting his own business, like making micro games and shit. You know, he's doing get rich quick schemes and whatever the fuck. Dude just wants money. He's trying to make bank. Like, he ain't even caring about getting the girl. He just wants the money. And it's just kind of funny to think about because, like, it's normally seen as, like, a negative personality trait, and I'm pretty sure it's still, like, shown as such in a lot of cases. It's just kind of funny to think about that. He's one of the supposed 7 star children, like, destined for greatness and super important and shit, but, like, dude straight up just is out here doing shit because he's trying to get that bread. Like, he don't even care about like, any chosen one destiny or getting like the girl of his dreams. He just wants money. It's kind of funny when you think about it. Like, out of these 7 star children, you got, I guess, like, yeah, you got your typical heroes, like about four-ish of them, but then like one of them was sort of like on a mean streak before, like on a mean streak, but still like mostly doing good. One of them is just straight up an anti-hero that just wants to make money, and one of them is straight up just a villain who ends up helping the other heroes when other villains start doing some stuff that he don't like. I don't know, just I always find it kind of funny. 7 Starchildren, but like half of them aren't really like heroes, you know? Ain't that something? Really though, it kind of makes you wonder about like all these other Mario characters that seem kind of important but aren't Star Children technically. Like the first immediate example is like, well, I guess some would say Waluigi's first, but like for me, it's like Daisy. She's not one of the 7, but like she's easily like one of the most prominent princesses, I would assume. Like she shows up in like all the sports games and stuff, even though she's only been kidnapped like once. And I think it's pretty safe to assume that like she and Luigi are a thing, because like there's no way you get like a golden statue of the two of you dancing together unless there's something going on there, let's be real. I guess it's just kind of funny to think about, like, because like technically I think she's supposed to be an empress, because like Sarasaland is actually an empire composed of 4 kingdoms instead of just a single kingdom of its own. So it's like, is she technically in a sort of higher position of power compared to Peach in terms of royal status? That's the sort of funny questions you never really stop to think about, you know? Yeah, getting back to like Waluigi though, like it is kind of funny that like 3 of the dudes in overalls are supposedly like these special star children, but then there's just Waluigi, who's just sort of this awkward fourth wheel, like he's just some guy that Wario hangs out with sometimes for like sports games and shit. He don't even show up in like Wario Land or WarioWare. He only shows up to like team up with Wario in sports games, and he just has this massive hate boner for Luigi. I don't even know what that's all about. I'm not even sure if these two are related like Mario and Luigi are. I don't think they're supposed to be, apparently. He's just some dude. He's just some dude who hangs with Wario and hates Luigi. So he calls himself Waluigi. Like, what? I don't even know what that's about. How does that even work? That is wild. Really, like, we could probably go on. I mean, you know, all these other side characters and whatnot who have some level of significance, I would assume. I mean, you know, Diddy seems like pretty big deal. Like, he's DK's nephew, and they hang pretty often. And honestly, it seems like DK's rep is good enough to the point where, like, even Diddy's girlfriend will, like, come in clutch to help him out if needed be, if Donkey Kong Country 3 is anything to go by. I mean, yeah, sure, like, her boyfriend is also kidnapped, but it's like, you know, she's saving both of them, is what I'm getting at. I probably could go on. I mean, there's like all these different RPG characters show up over the years. You know, like all your little party members from the paper games. There's other 2 guys from like Super Mario RPG, etc., and so on. Other rulers from other kingdoms, like the Bean Kingdom and whatnot. Like probably a bunch of others that I can't even be bothered to list, because there's like a bunch of them I'm not as familiar with. I guess it's just kind of funny to think about. Like, it's just these 7 in particular are like extra special. Like, they're super important. Even though there's like all these other characters that still feel pretty significant as well. They're just not these supposedly chosen ones like these other guys are. I don't know. I guess I just always find it kind of funny to think about. Especially since, like, most of them are usually interacting with each other in most of the games for, like, plot reasons. You know, like, Peach is the one getting kidnapped, Bowser's the one doing the kidnapping, Mario's the one doing the saving, Luigi tags along because it's his bro, so he's gonna help him out. And, like, Yoshi kind of just assists whenever he shows up because, like, he's just cool with the bros. That just leaves Donkey Kong being like an op that became an ally, kind of, over time. And Wario and Bowser kind of just did the odd cases in this whole setup, I suppose. Even if Wario was more so just motivated by money than anything actively malicious. Oh, right, forgot to mention Pauline. Like, she's apparently important now with, like, singing powers and stuff. She's not a star child either. Ain't that kind of funny? Rosalia is also sort of an odd case where it's like, yeah, she's not one of the 7 star children, but she's kind of super important for entirely different reasons anyway. Like, she already seems like a super special, important person with star-related powers and junk without any of the Star Child stuff anyways. Like some sort of space goddess or something. I don't know. I honestly kind of have to wonder sometimes, like, if this whole Star Child thing is even still relevant, or if it's just something that they kind of just established in Yoshi's Island DS, and they kind of just forgot about it, because it was kind of just meant for that one game to explain why these baby versions of the characters are important to that game's plot, and then just, yeah, whatever. Once the game is done, it's not really important anymore, so it's just not going to be brought up again. Likely is the case, because for Mario, it's not really super big on, like, consistent, long-standing lore. I mean, heck, when was the last time we've seen Toadsworth? I swear, that man just disappeared off the face of the earth. I don't think they're losing sleep over it either. That's just how it be with Mario lore. It's always going to be secondary to gameplay no matter what. That's kind of just the facts of how it is. Some might not like hearing that, but, like, I don't know what else to tell you. I guess I just find it curious since, like, I suppose that 7 Star Children are, like, 7 major characters that appear throughout the whole series, and some of which even have, like, their own spin-off games. Well, I think practically all of them have their own spin-off games at this point, actually. Don't they? I mean, really, if you want to be really technical about it, Super Mario's actually a spin-off of the original Donkey Kong series. By technicality, because, like, Donkey Kong game came first and then the Mario Bros. Game after. It's a whole thing. It's whatever. But yeah, like, Wario has 2 series to his name. Luigi has Luigi's Mansion. Peach has a couple of her own spin-off games. Like, Donkey Kong's a whole franchise of its own. The Yoshi series is a whole thing. Like, it's all one universe with all these characters. It's just, I don't know. I guess that is kind of funny to think about. Especially considering these lore implications, like does that mean that it's just going to be these characters that get their own games with like their names in the top billing or whatever? Because like if that's the case, then I guess the like other characters like Daisy and Waluigi probably wouldn't get their own games then, I suppose. Well, at least they get to be playable in other stuff. I mean, it took forever, but Daisy's finally playable in a main series title. I mean, it's just Wonder so far, but hey, that's something. Funnily enough, I think the main reason why that even happened was because the developers had daughters who were fighting over who gets to play as Peach in like 3D World or something. It was like, oh, we should just have more than one playable girl then. And it's like, Daisy's been right there for decades and they just never bothered till now. That's funny. I'm pretty sure a lot of fans have kind of wanted absence for like forever ago, but it's just kind of funny that it took like the developers' kids wanting more than one princess to play as for that to finally happen. What can you do? But yeah, that's just my odd thoughts on all of that. Not really sure what else to add at this point. I guess I'm just kind of curious as to whether or not this sort of thing will ever be important again in any future titles. Because it is kind of curious that like all 7 of these supposed Starchildren get their own games series out of all the different characters in the larger Mario franchise, I suppose. That's something you normally get with like most other platformer series, I'm pretty sure. Like, often you see Sonic characters getting their own spin-off games. It's pretty rare. You'd be lucky to get more than one. I think only Tails has 2. And then there's like Mega Man. I think only Zero got his own series, if we want to be technical. Like a super popular fan favorite. And that was like a very concise 4 entries with a very decisive ending. Like, there is no Mega Man 05 because explicitly because of how 04 ends. Like, it's just not possible. Mario, though, they can just keep going forever. Like, they don't have to stop at Super Princess Peach and Showtime. They could keep making Peach stuff forever, for all we know. They can keep making Luigi's Mansions 4, 5, and 6. Maybe we'll get another Wario Land someday, but they're still making WarioWare. Donkey Kong Bonanza is pretty recent. I think another Yoshi game's coming out very soon, actually. I think it's like a book-themed one. Okay, all these characters are still getting content. They're still getting their own games and stuff. Most franchises ain't that lucky to do that with their extended cast. It does make you wonder, though, like, is it explicitly just a special Star Child thing, or is it just coincidence? Probably coincidence. But it is funny that it is, like, those 7 specifically. Alright, I'll stop yapping. See you later.